Hey YouTube, and welcome back to the Why Exist channel. I had intended to make a video on the bias in the family court systems, but upon seeing a post on Twitter by Shoeonhead about a situation in Portland, Oregon at Grant High School, where a teacher is now facing repercussions for making a essay about his opinion on rape culture, and my feelings on this matter, I have decided to, instead of doing that, to create a video on rape culture instead. Rape culture in America. What would the rape culture in America be? Well, it's the idea or the belief system that fundamentally, at its core, people, or society in general, are pro-rape, and if not pro-rape, are supportive of rape either unknowingly or purposefully. The fact of the matter is, this theory does not have much credibility, either politically or culturally. The majority of people are not pro-rape. It is honestly insulting to the average citizen to be told, you're pro-rape, you're wrong. You have to be pro-rape because you're a man, or because rape exists. Rape exists, therefore it must be because society is pro-rape. No. If that's the case, then society is also pro-homicide. Society is also pro-theft. Society is also pro-tax evasion. Well, that's a different story in and of itself, isn't it? Society is also pro-slavery, because there is still a sex slave situation and an epidemic. These are not things that people are for. These are not things that people are pro. Certainly not pro-homicide. If you're pro-homicide, you also have to be, in and of itself, comfortable with the idea of you being murdered. If you're pro-rape, you have to be comfortable with the idea that by being pro-rape, you're exposing yourself to the possibility of also being raped, because yes, men and women are raped. It's something that happens to both genders, but that's beside the point. The fact of the matter is, every situation, let's look at the political side of it. 42 U.S.C. Section 3796 GG-4 will revoke a state's Stop Violence on Women funding if rape victims are not given forensic testing free of charge. They are attempting in that manner to create a system where rape victims are not responsible for paying for their own forensic testing, which is very important. You could argue that it shouldn't have needed to be done, it shouldn't have needed to be said, but that's the world we live in. Nobody wants to give anybody anything for free. That's just how life works. It has nothing to do with whether you're a rape victim or not. The fact of the matter is, in Georgia, deep south, until Coker versus Georgia, there was a death penalty instilled for rape, for people who have committed rape. The victims of rape could go for the death penalty against the people who had raped them until Coker versus Georgia. The reason that they revoked this, rightfully so, is because rape victims are not murdered. Their lives aren't over. They can continue to live, and yes, it is a hardship, and there are punishments in place for it, but it was cruel and unjust to give the death penalty for these punishments as a punishment for this. But all in all, the crimes, the penalties for committing rape in our society are harsh. Rape using violence is a possible life sentence. Rape using fear is a possible life sentence. Rape via drugs is 0 to 15 years. Statutory rape with an adult is 0 to 15 years, and the second offense is possible life sentence. Statutory rape with a minor, that's minor to minor, is 0 to 15 years. Causing rape by another is 0 to 10 years, and causing rape of a child under 12 by another is possible life sentence. The prosecution is fairly strict and fairly harsh on the situations. And of course, nobody likes to discuss it, but there is a timidity of how do we determine who needs to be prosecuted, what allegations are true, what allegations are false, and if you did not get the test ran, and you do not have DNA evidence, forensic evidence, for the fact that you were raped, it is hard to be believed, especially because there are situations, though people do not like to admit it, where there are false rape allegations. For example, Nicola Osborne, 32, after getting drunk and committing adultery, Nicola told police she was kidnapped and raped. After long hours spent on an investigation and a court appearance, she pled guilty to perversion of justice and admitted that she had lied to hide the fact that she had committed adultery. Elizabeth Coast, upon being caught watching porn on her computer, she blamed a nearby neighbor, claiming to have been sexually assaulted by him, who was then 14, her being 10 at the time. He was then sentenced to 7 years in prison. She admitted that she had lied only after he had committed 4 years of his 7-year sentence. That's 4 years of his life gone. Permanently gone. Completely gone. And what did she get as a result of this? What was her punishment for taking 4 years of this man's life? Well, she got 2 months of jail served only on the weekends and $90,000 restitution. $90,000 is hardly worth 4 years of anyone's life. It's 4 years that he can never get back, that he spent behind bars, and as restitution he gets $90,000, and as punishment she has to go to jail on the weekends for a period of 2 months. That's not equivalent. And the fact of the matter is this continuously happens, and if you look on the description below, I will have a link to situations where this has happened other than those 2 situations. It is a problem. Like I said, it is insulting to say, well, this is an issue of society. This is not a societal issue. This is an issue of people who have unstable mental abilities, or who are unstable, and even then it's a rarity. It's not exactly happening at such a degree that it is a massive epidemic. It's not, I mean, the murder rate is much higher than the rate of sexual assaults and rapes. The fact of the matter is we kill each other more than we rape each other, although sometimes they are synonymous situations. But anyway, speaking on the Portland, Oregon situation, Grant High School students have been protesting the fact that he had sent out a letter to his 9th grade classroom. Now, a big issue was that the 9th graders were too young to hear this. Well, I went to school in North Carolina for my 8th grade year, Deep South, North Carolina, and we did my 8th grade year sexual education. Let's be honest, middle schoolers are going to commit sexual acts at some point, usually during middle school. We might not want to admit that our middle school kids are doing this. They most likely are doing some sort of sexual exploring into the acts of sex. They most likely are, if not completely engaging in sex and in intercourse. They need to know about these things. They also need to know that as men, they are not sitting around just thinking about rape all day. This is not something that happens to the typical teenager, and especially to the typical male of any age. It's not something that he sits around thinking about, oh, I'm going to commit rape today. That's all that this teacher was saying, is that he does not see a legitimate backing for this being an actual situation, an actual problem. And what is he getting for this? Well, he gets the school to send out letters pretty much rebuking, saying that this statement is not theirs, it's his, and that this is not their position. Pretty much he may be facing his job because of this. The students are protesting. The students are protesting. You have children protesting, and let me be honest with you. If it was me, and there was a protest going on when I was in school, I might join the protest because, get out of school. I can't say that all of these are feminists. They might all be people who believe in feminist issues. Some of them might just want to get out of class. That's what I'd be doing. But, that says more about me than them. But beside the point, the fact of the matter is he is facing persecution because he decided to air his opinion, which is an irony. The fact of the matter is the only reason they're allowed to protest the fact that he had an opinion is because they have the freedom of speech that he is being criticized for using. The fact of the matter is freedom of speech is openly attacked constantly this day and age. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's constantly attacked on a daily basis. And the fact of the matter is, Sean Head was asked on Twitter what she could do about somebody asked Sean Head what he could do about this situation, and she said that she wasn't entirely sure in the post. The fact of the matter is, do exactly what they're doing. Even if you don't want to reveal your name, write an anonymous letter saying that you stand in solidarity with this person to your Board of Education, to the news media that are covering it. If you believe in something, stand for it in any way that you can. If it's not possible, or if it would be detrimental to you, whether healthily or mentally, to come out and give your name out, then write an anonymous letter, send an anonymous email to your Board of Education, to the news medias handling this, telling them your stance on it, telling them that you disagree with this, telling them that you support his right to freedom of speech. That is the way that you that is the way you combat this situation. That is the only real way to handle this situation, honestly. You have to be just as combative as they are, because that's how you're going to deal with the situation. The reason is they're going to this for success, and they may achieve it if nobody speaks up for this man. Somebody needs to speak up for this teacher and say, look, we support his right to freedom of speech. Whether you do that anonymously, or whether you do that by standing in line and protesting like they are outside of the schools, whether you do it by speaking to the news agencies, whether you do it with your name on it, or whether you do it completely anonymously, you have to speak out. That's the way to handle this problem. Stand in solidarity. Show them that there is a demographic out there that supports this man and his opinions and his right to freedom of speech, no matter what it may be that he's saying at the time. It didn't hurt anyone. It really wasn't detrimental to anyone's health. He even opened the door to debate, saying that he's willing to talk about this. Whether you agree with him or not, you're free and welcome to disagree with me, is pretty much what he was letting out in this letter. He wasn't just saying, you have to agree with me or you're gonna fail my fucking class, get over yourself, fuck you, haha, I win. That wasn't the situation. That would be a different situation. This is him saying, this is my opinion, I'm letting you know my opinion. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to discuss it. You're welcome to having a different opinion, but this is mine. Now, that's really all I can really say on this. It's a ridiculous situation. As I said in my last video, there will be a Patreon link added to some of these eventually. I haven't decided if I'm going to add it down below. If I do, it's going to be in the description. Support me if you can. Support my team if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. Our first live radio recording will be linked below when it happens, and it will be on Wednesday of this week. This video was late because I had to completely change the content of it. Sorry. If you liked it, please subscribe. Please like the video. Please leave a comment below. Give me some suggestions, give me some feedback. Love to hear it. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. Bye.